good Sunday night to you all out there. Hope you had a fantastic weekend. The weather's starting to perk up. I had to cut the grass for the first time in this year, so I got a little bit of allergies, so my eyes are a little red and stuff. Just a warning out there, they're red for that reason and no other reason. I swear to God. Welcome into another episode of the Bark and Brown Show. We got a full house tonight. I'm Jacob. That's Nick, Casey Kinnaman, and Bill Sparks down below. We love you all so very much for being here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got a goal: 2,000 subs on YouTube by the draft. Come on, we can do it, right? Like even if you hate it, just sub, just be a friend, be an enemy. Hate watch, don't care. Tell a friend, be a friend. We love you. If you're not watching us on YouTube and you like watching us other places, that's great. But still go to the YouTube. It's up there and subscribe. That'd be awesome. We love you guys, gentlemen. How are we doing?
Well, I'll tell you what. It's nice to be here. The last couple weeks haven't worked out. I'm getting married shortly, in like a couple weeks now, which is really weird and also exciting. But just lots of life is changing, man. And so appreciate the three of you here for carrying the team. And appreciate the help out of all of you for liking, subscribing, and commenting because we're growing, and that's a great place to be.
Yeah, it's a great night. It's Sunday night. We're going four wide here. You know what? The best thing you guys can do for Nick's wedding, he's not registered anywhere except for one place. It's the subscribe button and the notification bell.
I'd love that.
That's a great way. That's a great way to give him a wedding gift.
So we got to talk about the elephant in the room. We're going to do this a little different tonight for the people in the chat.
Okay.
As you chat, I'll be the moderator. I'll be throwing your comments on screen. We're not going to discuss them in the middle of our talking points. We're going to try to barrel through and get through this, and then the things that are appropriate for what we just talked about, we'll bring back on the screen. So you will be heard. I don't want you guys to feel like you're being left out. So I'll be getting everything up on the screen as they roll in, unless you're trolling, and then I'll skip that one.
Sometimes
we may show it. Yeah. Shout out to Terrence and OTC for showing up. We appreciate you, Terrence.
So it's been an interesting week, and I forgot that Andrew Berry would be speaking slightly before this. So he spoke several hours ago today at the owners' meetings, and so this Myles Garrett topic was brought up. But that's kind of where the talking point tonight starts with: is this Myles Garrett changed to his contract, and what does that mean? What does that look like? Are they going to move him? If they do move them, are they going to sell off other pieces? What would it take for us to be willing to part with him? That sort of thing. We really wanted to dive into those topics tonight. So for those that missed it, the contract language of Myles Garrett's roster bonus got moved from this past week. It was like Tuesday or Wednesday?
Yeah, March 25th to now 7 days before the season starts.
And as our good friend over at the OBR, Jack Duffin, said, there is literally no other benefit to it. There's literally no other benefit to it other than to make him more tradable. They straight up, there is no other financial benefit. So we have to have that conversation.
Yep. The big thing here too is people think it adds flexibility to the cap and things like that. All it did was take the $39 million option that they were due to pay Myles on the 25th and moved it to 7 days before the season starts. And if I'm looking at that, what I'm saying is now that gives me from now until that option is due to find a new home for Myles, because then the new team that trades for Myles is now on the hook for that option. And when I see that, that's the only reason I'm saying it. Now, does it mean that they're going to trade him before the draft? If they get the right offer, which I've got an offer that I'll throw out here later on in the show that might do it. But if they don't, then they just wait until after June 1st when they can absolve that cap hit over 2 years.
I just think that for the people that are saying this is nothing and we're making a lot of nothing, what incentive
Why would they do it?
does
Exactly.
Myles have to agree to pushing his money back? Right? Why is Myles like, okay, yeah, I'll just wait to get my money from you guys without something being given his way? Right? Like there's no reason. There's no reasonable explanation for that. So you can say whatever you want from the team's angle, but Myles himself is not pushing this money back without some incentive. And there seems to be conspicuously lacking any incentive out there.
Well, we did this whole dance last off season, right? And Myles went about this a completely different way, and he saw what that got him nowhere. So he's going along with the organization on this, playing the quiet part, which would help get him if he wants to be moved. This is what you do. This is how you go about it. So but all it does is creates a path. Now it's up for some other team to walk down the path. And it's a narrow thread, man. This to get a correct dance partner and get compensation and to be a team that he wouldn't put a no trade clause, that's very narrow. But it exists now. Before it was fan fiction. When everyone's like, "Oh, just trade Myles and get," there was no path. The path is there. It's narrow, but we'll see if anyone can get down it.
Yeah, and he was very adamant today. Andrew Berry was at the owners meeting. God, he's so good at using a bunch of words to say absolutely fucking nothing. But he said today, there's the steadfast what has been being leaked to the media all week, which is we're not moving Myles. We just changed it for more flexibility, but really couldn't tell you what that flexibility was or what exact benefit they were getting from that, which all that tells me is, hey, you better bump up those offers because the offers we've got so far are nowhere near what we are going to need to move off of him. And I know MC said something like, "Oh, I'd be shocked. That means it's a rebuild." I do think one thing I was thinking about when it comes to that, and I agree with Jake here, outside of 3 first-round picks as a starting point, that I'm not interested in anything else. But one thing I thought it could give them the option to where maybe if things go well for them in the draft and the rest of free agency and trade and they get all this stuff, maybe they do just decide, yeah, we're good. Well, we'll keep them. We feel a little bit better and more confident about the situation we're in. Or they go, oh, shit, we're going to have to start Deshaun Watson or something. And then they're like, oh, yeah, no, and back out at the very last minute. But that's the only flexibility I think it creates is the ability to change your mind about if he's on the roster this year or not.
Yeah, and 2 things that really stood out to me from Andrew Berry's time today. Someone asked him if he could unequivocally say that the Browns are not looking to trade Myles Garrett, and his response was, Myles is a career Brown. He's a face of the organization, and they've been very clear past and present in terms of our feelings, but did not straight out deny it. Like, did not straight out say, nope, we're not trading him. We're not moving off of him, anything like that. But the second thing, too, we've done this song and dance. If you remember back during the Baker Mayfield saga, they came out and said, we are not trading Baker Mayfield. We are not moving off of him. He is our guy. 3 months later, gone.
It was at the owners meeting. It was at the owners meeting that Baker Mayfield was going to be their week 1 starter.
Yes. And then they consummated a deal later on that week in the owners meeting, and he ended up in Carolina.
Yeah, it's weird when Andrew Berry talks because I don't pay any attention, even if it's stuff he says things I like. I can't just because I know what this is. I don't. You're not gonna get me again. But I'm sure there's a feeding frenzy behind the scenes. And when he's vocally like, no, we're not going to do it. That's telling everyone else. I haven't heard anything I like yet. So it's keep them coming, and that'll come right through the draft. And I don't expect it to happen for this draft particularly. I just don't think that it will. And more than likely, he'll probably be on the team for this year. But this is also, by changing this contract, here's what it does for me. Myles Garrett's not retiring at Cleveland Brown. That whole lifelong Brown from Cleveland to Canton. Because this all comes back to the plan at quarterback a year ago when he was like, yeah, Andrew Berry told me he was playing at quarterback, and that's why I signed. Here we are, and nothing's been done since then. You know what I mean? So if there's a couple things that could turn it, and he could be a lifelong Brown. You find your quarterback in Myles is content. That's one. And as we sit here today, the only way that happens today is if it's Shador. There's no other option on this roster that can fit that mold. So if it takes off and he ends up being the dude, maybe this quiets down and Myles is just your guy.
Yeah.
But you know how this goes. If it goes off the rails again for a third straight season, it's very unlikely that he'd be on your team in 2027.
Yeah. But here's the thing too. There's already photos of Andrew Berry talking with different GMs. Howie Roseman is one of them. We know about the Browns and Eagles relationship. We know how Howie Roseman's tried to court Myles before. There's that conversation. I think that if they were to move him prior to the draft, the offer that it would take, and this is one I consummated earlier, to Kansas City, because that's a contender, because Myles still has a no trade clause. So that's going to rule out probably about a good quarter of the league from the jump. Kansas City sends pick 9, 29, a 2027 first, and Josh Simmons at left tackle for Myles Garrett. At that point, I love Myles, but I am strongly considering packing him up and sending him out to the AFC West.
It's like in that situation, we know for a fact they wanted Josh Simmons at the back end before he went to KC, and then the Browns obviously went with Carson Schlesinger, which worked out very, very well, obviously. But we know they were making an attempt. They made an attempt to go up there and get Josh Simmons at the back end before Kansas City took him. If we're talking about like a player, because you're not going to get a quarterback. Like that's, I guess left tackle is the closest thing to edge in terms of comparable, like positional importance. They kind of go hand in hand. And there's a rumor that until Myles changed the language of his contract, he hadn't spoken to the team since they decided not to hire Jim Schwartz. So like this really could be one of those situations where they're like, well, let's see if somebody will blow us out of the water to make him happy. But like, it's going to have to take just an absolute blockbuster. It's going to have to be bigger than Deshaun Watson's deal in my mind.
I got to stand on my principles here. If you trade Myles Garrett, the only way that you need that has to be the only avenue is if it gives you the ammunition to get your quarterback in the future. I don't want to do it just for more players. You need something that's going to change the direction of this franchise. Because if you're pivoting from Garrett, that's exactly what you're doing. That's your roster cornerstone. He's the apex predator on this team. If you're pivoting away from that, you got to directionalize this towards a quarterback. And I just don't see that in this draft. I don't see getting extra picks in this draft doesn't really help me do that. And it's also like you're also doing it to a contender, right? So those picks are going to be in the 20s. Yep. The 5-year proposal they made, if that passes and you can place some of the compensation on the other side of their window, if it's a short-lived thing, Philadelphia, somewhere where the bill's going to come due, and there's a chance in 3 years they've had to tear their whole roster down and start over like Philly's done after 17 when they won it. They tore it down, built it back, and they go in cycles. So you want to catch them between cycles when some of those picks are actually worth something. Because like if we're just being honest here, and we did a complete redraft of the NFL completely, Myles Garrett's the first non-franchise quarterback taken.
Yeah.
You need compensated for that, like he is a quarterback.
Yeah. And I think the big thing is, too, it doesn't have to be 5 first-round picks. It could be 2 firsts. If the 5-year rule pass, 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and a third, that's 5 top 100 picks over 5 years. I'm okay with that. Like, yeah, I want 3 firsts for Myles. Don't get me wrong, but I'm going to live on planet Earth. And there's not a lot of teams out there that are going to say, yeah, we'll give you 3 firsts for Myles. We did just see Max Crosby get 2 firsts, but that was the final offer. That wasn't the first offer that was tossed out and then upped from there. All the way to the end, even Dallas, they were willing to give a first and a second. And Baltimore said, here's 2 firsts. And that's what eventually would have done the deal had Max Crosby passed his physical. Myles is miles ahead of Max Crosby, in my opinion, but I don't think there's a team out there that can say we are close enough to a window to win the Super Bowl while also hemorrhaging 3 first-round picks.
Yeah. And I saw some interesting conversation about the Kansas City thing because of Patrick Mahomes and the injury and stuff like that, and could getting there first do it. When do they vote on the fifth year stuff? Jake asks. He says
It should be. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday that they will vote on it. I know Monday. I believe that Monday. I believe they're voting on Pittsburgh's resolution of allowing FaceTime calls during the tampering period, and then I think Tuesday will be the Browns' resolution.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hilarious that they throw that out there and then change his contract. It's like, come on. Like I don't want to trade Myles Garrett. I'm very on record. I'm with you, Case. The only way is if I see a clear path to gaining my franchise quarterback. I finished my top 100 big board today. I have 3 quarterbacks in the top 100. 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is not the year, boys. So
you're not getting them this year.
And it's always pie in the sky because we're always like, next year is the year. We said that last year, and then this year came, and and same thing could happen next year. You can't ever bank on that. But if you're going to position yourself for a draft, 27 looks to be much brighter if that's what you're going to try to do. But you're not alone in this. The Jets started already. The Jets got a head start on you for the 27 draft.
They got 3 of them suckers next year.
That's what I'm saying, dude. And they're not trading for Garrett because you need a partner who can do that for you, who can give you multiple firsts. And right now, that's not here. So there's
and I know that folks want to get 3 firsts for Myles because he's the greatest edge. I get that, but I am okay settling for 2 firsts if I get a high caliber talent, a Josh Simmons. I throw Chicago, Luther Burden, throw that my way. Philadelphia, Jalen Carter, throw that my way next to Mason Graham. I'm okay with 2 firsts plus, but that's got to be the starter.
Yeah, the way I looked at it was 3 firsts, 2 second, and or a player of significance that tilts the balance for either one of those first or seconds. It has to be like if it's a franchise left tackle, and okay, I'll knock one of those firsts off because that's the way it has to work for me. It's 3 firsts, 2 seconds, and a player of significance that can tilt the balance for one of those, subtract one of those firsts or one of those seconds, depending on who it is.
I think that's like the king's ransom, which is the dream scenario. But I think 3 firsts would do it, or maybe 3 firsts and a second. At this point, I don't know. Is it?
But okay, I got to say this: not all firsts are created equal. Like
right.
Bill and Jacob, how many first-round grades do you have in this draft?
10.
Okay, so getting picks in the 20s this year doesn't. You're not.
Sure.
Then you feel like you're just trading them to trade them to. You know what I mean? Like at that point,
15. I got 15.
And I will say this because there was a thing in here that says you have to hit on the quarterback too. I think Kramer sent it. That's the truth. If you trade Myles Garrett and then fail to get me my franchise quarterback, I'll burn this motherfucker to the ground.
Yeah. I think the framework too. We see the Max deal. Khalil Mack also has to be thrown in there. You remember that Khalil Mack deal when the Bears traded for him from the Raiders and they got 2 firsts, a 6th, and a 3rd. That's got to be the floor.
Agreed.
Yeah, and even then, it's like, and Jake brought up the comment about made a comment in the chat about Shedeur Sanders, and that's where I think this flexibility kind of comes into play about them pushing it back. It's not a done deal that they trade him. They get it. Let's say they get into camp. Because we've heard this, the posturing has already started from national media about what Todd Monken, the effect he could have on. All of a sudden today, Mike Garofalo wanted to make it about Deshaun Watson. I just want to punch him in the face. It'd be not his fault. Like I get what he's saying. And I'm not trying to be like vindictive or anything, but we've already heard them talking about like, hey, what can Todd Monken do to help Shedeur Sanders in his development and all of those sorts of things. And so do you get into camp? Do you get into the preseason? Do you get all that stuff and you're like, man, this guy, he could be it. And then you just pay Myles Garrett and you ride it out. Or you get in there and you're like, oh, man. And then somebody calls you up for 3 firsts and a second. And you're like, okay. So I kind of think that's where they're at. I do not think it happens before the draft. I do not think it happens before June 1st. But yeah, no, I'm with you, Case. I do think that one of the biggest things is maybe this means that he doesn't stay here the whole time. But yeah, I think that's very interesting because if they get in there and they start looking at this situation, they go, Todd Monken was the missing piece. Coaching was the missing piece. A better offensive line and a wide receiver was what was missing. Because if that defense was as good as it was this year with a top 20 offense, they win 8 or 9 games probably, right? And they're in the right direction. So I think that's what their hope is. It gives them that flexibility, but nothing's written in stone, I think, either way. I guess
I just want to play devil's advocate for a second, because let's say that you don't get any reasonable quarterback play this year. Let's just say that happens, because something we've seen happen in Cleveland a lot of times.
What?
I'm looking at Pittsburgh right now and the contract that they gave TJ Watt and the way that his production is suddenly struggling. And I'm not, obviously coming off Defensive Player of the Year. Myles Garrett's more of a freak, I think, and definitely has more age longevity. However, when you get into the 30s, it's like that cliff can be found out of nowhere. I think Amari Cooper is a really good example. But my point is that if, in the worst case scenario, if you don't find your quarterback and you spend another year in futility and you let Myles get another year older, all of a sudden you could be looking at an asset that right now is probably at its peak value. And it could disintegrate in half of that with one down year, one injured season, one struggle. And that's my concern. Because right now we're looking at the Browns long term, right? Until you have a quarterback, you're not talking short term. You're just talking long term. And so that does not make me happy to say. But I think until the Browns do have that quarterback, you have to think in the long term. And in the long term, the value that Myles brings you back is more valuable than the short term. Yeah. That sucks, but.
And for my thoughts on it is, I just watched Myles Garrett set the single season sack record with an offense that is absolutely horrid. So that for me says that his value is never going to be higher than it is right now. And to Nick's point, it's like a Maserati. The moment you drive it off the lot, value depreciates. The moment you put mileage on it, value depreciates. If they go into the season with Myles, they're not getting the return that they think they will. I think that if they don't do it before the draft, it's going to be shortly after the draft when they can ask for future firsts plus a rookie that's drafted. If you have a team that drafts a rookie in the second round and you say, hey, I want 2 firsts plus that rookie edge rusher you took, whether it be a Keldrick Falk or whoever, send that back my way. But I don't see a world where Myles plays this season, because if he was going to for the Browns, they wouldn't have moved the option. They would have just paid it and been done.
Well, does this say something bigger, though, that they know where they're like? This is the realization that they know where they're at as a franchise, and they know that they're not as close to be. You know what I mean? Like, because the idea, and at least for me, was keep this defense intact. Get just even bringing Monken in. Get to adequate offense with this defense, and that could lead you to a 7 seed, a 6 seed. You know, you could flirt with 500 with that defense just in an average ass offense. But them, and we're hearing the Denzel shit too, right? Like that has to factor in that they're looking at getting rid of both of those guys in the same time frame. Kind of leads like maybe they're not going to keep the defense intact.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. And shout out to Always Trade Back, ATB. Thanks for joining the show. I'm with him. I think that moving the option for Garrett says that, hey, come June 2nd, when we can split the cap hit for both of those trades over 2 years, we're moving on from both of them. Because, yes, if you keep Myles and Shadur Sanders hits and you've got, an improved offensive line, could you get to a 6 seed or a 7 seed? You could. But what's on the other side of that? you now have to look at another year of Myles depreciating. You have now a 20th to 28th overall pick in the draft that you still have to continue to build around him. At this point, I'm just not comfortable saying, hey, we're close enough to where we can run this thing back one more time. We're closer to rebuild than we are to contend. And that's why I'm moving them. The NFL's a business, and Andrew Berry's biggest thing is value. What's the value? What's the value? And if he says that the value for Denzel and Myles is 3 firsts, a third, and a high profile player, and we have to have another year or two of rough seas before we come out the other side in 2028, 2029, when the new stadium's open and we can compete then, that's what I think he's going to see.
I think you have to be competitive the year before the stadium, though. I think the year going into before you move, the last year on the lake, I think you need that. That has to be your focal point to get the rallying for the stadium to be the success. Because if you open up opening day and it's just no one's that excited because it's like in your first day in the new place, I think that's a bad recipe.
Yeah, and it's a good point. Like, why do you keep pushing Deshaun's cap hit back? Cut him, trade if you're going to trade those, then because when you put the cap hit over after June 2nd for them is not anywhere near Deshaun's. Like, it's just an outrageous amount. Like,
it would be for Myles, it would be 15 million this year and 23 million next year. And then for Denzel, I'll pull his up as we speak. But I know it's not even near that. His would be 13 and then 13 and 17. So you're talking if you traded them both after June 1st, the cap hit is roughly $30 million for the pair.
And Deshaun's is like 90.
Yeah. I want to make a motion that we retire the word rebuild. That implies something was built in the first place.
That's fair.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, that's fair. I think it's more of ripping it down to the studs at this point is where we are, not necessarily rebuild, because rebuild implies you've had a foundation and something was there. This was they thought like they had a foundation. Yeah, they thought they had a foundation only to realize their entire subfloor was rotted out, and then they guaranteed all the money to the contractor to fix the subfloor, and then he only showed up a third of the time.
In this one too, right here, 52.6, as always trade back said, 52.6 savings on Myles and Ward post June 1. You're not getting a single dollar saved in Watson's. But I'm with you too, Kramer. If you're going to rebuild, just tear it all the way down. Yeah, you're right. You can't rebuild.
Well, I mean, all of a sudden, that's what you're just like. Myles and Denzel are really.
You can't rebuild a tent.
Oh.
Who besides? Okay, so Joel Bitonio's probably not coming back. Like, we're pretty sure about that, right? David Njoku's leaving. So Myles and Denzel are really, aside from, JOK floating in space with his situation, which he's not even old. Myles and Denzel are really your only old, long tenured players. And old is a relative term in that sense.
Malik Collins would be the other one, but even then, that's like a 1 year kind of journeyman. What's the word I'm looking for? Mercenary veteran.
Yeah, because nobody else is up
Delpit
there.
Would become your senior tenured player at that point.
He's your elder statesman,
and he's on an expiring contract.
Yep.
So, So let's shift. All right. We'll shift. We've had this conversation. I get why, but if you're going to do it, you need to sell it all off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you are going to move I wouldn't do it. You talked about it just in the sense that, Casey, I love this analogy. It's the Family Guy. Oh, it could be a boat or the mystery box. It could even be a boat. And it's like, take the boat. So like the fan in me wants to keep him, but I get the business side of it where if you're like, man, this is not happening until 28, load up. But again, I want the ammo for my franchise quarterback. That's not this year.
The last thing I'll say is injury this season would be what would ruin the value.
Yeah.
His play's not going to fall off this year, man.
No, not
he's
yet.
Winning when they don't even have a lead and he's still getting these fucking sacks. Like I'm not worried about that part of it, but an injury would take the value through the
He
floor.
got the record against two teams. Now he only got the one sack, but two straight games where the teams were willing to lose just so he couldn't get a sack.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he got the record with not getting a sack in, I think it was 4 straight games, and still got the record.
Because that's how
he was trending for 30 sacks the last month of the season.
I mean, I'll never forget. Go watch if you confused by what I said in terms of two teams willing to lose to not let him get the record. Go watch Aaron Rodgers in that Steelers game, the second last game of the year, and you tell me that dude wasn't like, nope.
The absolute worst case scenario is you're like a 4-win team in December, and Myles. I mean, I don't know. I have Wood right here, but like Myles tears his ACL, and then where are you? What are you doing? You have a late injury in the year, so you're hoping that the next draft brings you the talent that you need. But it's like then Myles isn't even there for the majority of the year.
Trying to do math.
So I just think being pragmatic about it is the most important thing, because even though draft picks haven't always worked out for the Browns, that doesn't change the fact that they're still your best path to get to where you want to go.
Yep. And to mention Williams' comment a little bit ago about Dallas, everybody's got to remember Dallas's first round pick in 2027 is not tradable until the end of the season because of the protections from the Quinnen Williams deal. They get the lower of basically the worst of the 2 picks go to the Jets. So until that pick conveys, it's not tradable because Dallas technically doesn't own either one. The only way that would happen is they would have to get the team that they're trading with, Cleveland, to agree to those same conventions. And if I have to agree to those conventions, I'd rather just not deal with you at all.
Worst case is trading Myles and not getting your franchise quarterback out of it. Yeah, it would be. That's where that's kind of my point,
ground, bro. If they do that and don't get him,
yeah, man. Like, here's the thing about Andrew Berry. This is a great question here. My only issue is, do we trust Andrew Berry to make these picks? Well, I don't know. Do you think if the Browns finish 4-13, he will be gone? Yeah, and you say if you feel like he's completely safe right now, it feels like there has been a vision from him pitched, and he said he needs more time. And for whatever reason, right or wrong, I think the Haslams are on board with that.
Can you name another time a GM's been going into the 7th year of their tenure and decided to do a rebuild without winning prior and still keeping their gig? Who you got, Bill?
I got 2 names for you, actually. Both of these GMs had less wins than Andrew Berry in their first 5 seasons. Les Snead, Jason Light.
Okay.
Los Angeles and Tampa Bay, respectively. Both had less wins. Jason Light actually only had 27 wins in his first 5 years and would not see a playoff game until year 7 of his tenure, which is also the same year that they would win the Super Bowl when Tom Brady came in 2020.
So, to me, what that means is you need to be showing progress. He showed progress in last year's draft.
Yes.
That saved his job. It
did. You're right. 100% saved his job. If he does that again, and Chris Ballard. Chris Ballard. Yeah, Chris Ballard's one, but that one's just so weird.
Yeah.
But hey, man, I love Lenore Sellers. If he takes that step forward, man.
The big thing too that I'll mention, I don't think Andrew Berry's gone at 4-13 because it is no secret how badly Jimmy Haslam wants Arch Manning. And if they go 4-13, they're going to be in a position to get really close to getting Arch Manning. So Haslam's going to say, hey, you accomplished what I want you to do.
Well, and I think if this draft yields similar results to 2025, like, yeah, it doesn't necessarily, if it, you want to see the draft players take a step forward. The drafted players from last year, you don't want to see them play like shit. And then you want to see rookie contributors this year be similar to last year's rookies. And then you're saying, well, the wins aren't there because X, Y, and Z. Then maybe you can justify it. It's going to be really damn hard.
Well, you know what's going to happen if Andrew Berry has another good draft, right? Those rumors that he kicked Paul DePodesta's influence out to have the 2024 draft and then 25 and then 26 draft are going to just grow louder. And then everybody's just going to say, okay, well, the problem was Paul DePodesta, because if your GM
It might be the case.
And it could be, right? It absolutely could be. But if you throw together two really good impact classes, I mean, all of a sudden it's
trending in the right direction. And you can say, hey, until I get my quarterback, I've done everything I could.
Yes.
Yeah, we're coming off 2 back-to-back dog shit seasons, though. The rebuild should have started 2 years ago. Then you can't justify this doing a rebuild after that. You rebuild after you win the damn thing, or come as close as you can, and your contracts kind of need to be flipped over, and you know what I mean. It's hard for me to pitch why this dude has a gig. I'm being honest.
No, I get it. I told you guys this. We said it on this show for keeping Kevin and firing AB. That I thought you could make your case for which to fire both, keep both, all that stuff, because there was some things you could try to, cherry pick here and cherry pick there as to why you want him to stay or go. So I will never argue that he shouldn't have been 100% safe, which he was. Like we now see that. I don't think he should have been 100% safe, but yeah, no, I'm with you.
I think the biggest thing too is that. I think even if Andrew Berry decides to,
the Browns won't be signing defensive end AJ Epinesa. Finalized. Looks like he failed.
Looks like he didn't fail his physical. I just got that text message, and I know Pelissero just reported it. Yeah, there were questions on Epinesa if he could pass a physical. That's why he hadn't signed yet. We talked about it over in the Barking Browns Discord, which, hey, just an FYI, Jacob's going to add it to the comments or add it to the description of this video, so you should come join and get some cool information like that. Okay. But yeah, that was one of the big things was they were struggling with him passing a physical, which is why they held off, but it looks like they're completely all gone now. The big thing that to mention back on Andrew Berry, just real quick, I think that even if he has that losing season, I think he gets taken from the wheel. But I think what happens is he goes to the DePodesta role in terms of advisory, in terms of analytics, in terms of the cap, because we all just watched Tom Telesco help Andrew Berry through the entire head coaching cycle. And the first big signing really was a former first-round pick for Tom Telesco, who's still seeking a job as a GM. It would be very easy to say Andrew Berry goes to the DePodesta role and Tom Telesco is your GM and Todd Monken's your head coach.
Failing upward.
It's fun when you fail upward. Hey, let's look at this edge class. Yeah. I can't do it. I can't fail upward for the sake worth shit. It's bullshit. Me and wife were talking about this the other day. It's like so many people are just like inept and they get promoted and you're like, what the fuck? Like, is this reverse Ravens where they're trading 6 and 24 for girls?
Actually, I don't think Crosby gets moved, but I think if somebody does move him, it's going to be for like a 2 seconds, and the Raiders are just going to hang up the phone.
Could you imagine if the Browns traded 6 and 24 for Max Crosby? Just because you'd be so confused. You'd be mad because we didn't get a tackle and a wide receiver or whatever, But at the same time, you're and then you'd be like, well, why did you change Myles? There would just be so many issues that you would just be like, okay. So we want to talk about the edge class. We're going to do more in-depth draft stuff on the Sunday shows in addition to our Tuesday live draft shows, which this Tuesday, offensive My Guys list. Ooh. Big Jake Hurricane joining us for that one.
Hey,
night at 8:30. So you want to tune in for that one. That one's going to be a nice one. I'm really excited. You wanted to entertain. You're right. I did want it to be entertaining before the new stadium and Max Crosby and Myles Garrett would make it that way. So edge in the draft. Let's talk about it because the Browns could have a need. If they trade Myles, obviously they need to potentially replace that, or I'm Ron Burgundying it again.
Stop it.
Or they may need to look at some depth, right?
Yes.
Either way, I think edge is a good position to look at.
Getting a year ahead of it's never a bad idea.
Yeah. Taking one day 2 or something like that, and then moving Myles later, whatever. Yeah, dude, that's what the Ravens and that's what Howie Roseman's done so well at, like in Ozzie Newsome and oh, who's there? Who's the GM in Baltimore now? Eric DaCosta. They're so good at that. They're so good at that, getting a year ahead of it.
And it's even more relevant now with Epinesa failing his physical. You now have a gaping hole right there too.
Right.
I completely blanked on that. Okay, that's a good point. So for me, I have 13 edge rushers in my top 100. So looking at my top 100 big board, we're talking about 13. I still have Ruben Bain number 1. I don't give a shit about his arms.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, don't
the tape
care.
needs to matter, man. Like,
he's
arm gate can end, dude. This is like
what
it's overthinking at its most. Like every game you watch, he's the fucking story. His ability to dominate and dictate terms, and it's violent, dude. It's everything you want, man. People are pushing his arms and he wants to slip. I ain't mad about it.
A 23% pass rush win rate per PFF and a 92.4 true pass rush grade. Your arms could be T-Rexes if you are putting up that type of number analytically, and like Case says, the tape matches. If you don't think that tape matches, go watch that Texas A&M game and watch those offensive linemen, both of which are going to get drafted, and Trey Zune and Demetrius Crownover get beaten like a drum at a Carolina Panthers game.
He just has that freak athleticism that you don't see from a ton of prospects. It pops off. He's got that speed. He just has those types of traits that you're not going to teach, and very few people have. And
Corey Kennenover. Sorry, I thought you were done.
No, you're okay. I just think you're not like Myles Garrett is probably the freakiest athlete of defensive ends in today's game, and it's like Ruben Bain is like in that ilk. I mean, I'm not saying he's the same, but it's that type of, like, you look at that guy and you say that dude's a freak.
Yeah, there's game wreckers. Game wreckers is a whole separate category than position. He is a game wrecker.
He's 6 on my big board. 6. I have 5 players ahead of him, and they're all kind of freaks. Like Caleb, the only people I have ahead of Ruben Bain are Caleb Downs, Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, Sonny Styles, and Arvell Reese.
Yeah, and I have he's 7th on my board, and I have 6: Downs, Mansour Delane, Fernando Mendoza, Jeremiah Love, CeCe Mauinoa, and KC Concepcion. Freak or dynamic, one or the other.
Yeah. And so, like, if you're sitting there and you do have a plan to trade Myles Garrett and you take Ruben Bain at 6, hell, you keep Myles Garrett and take Ruben Bain at 6. I ain't going to be that pissed off about it, because you're just taking best player available. Still got to tell me what the offensive tackle plan is out on the left side, but fucking Ruben Bain, dude. this dude is like,
and
I'm sorry.
You know what? Like, if you don't want to go Ruben Bain because of the short arms, okay, I hear you. Jacob talked about it. He's got 13 in his top 100. I've got 12 in mine, and actually it's 12 in my top 105. If you stretch it out to my top 150, I've got 17 edges that can make an impact at the NFL level. If you want to go with a guy later on in like the round 3-ish range at pick 70, deny Dennis Sutton from Penn State. An athletic freak of nature at 6'6", 256 with a 1.63 10-yard split, 39.5-inch vertical, 131-inch broad jump, a 6.9 second 3-cone drill, which is 93rd percentile. So that is top 10% in the league. A freak of nature. We just watched Abdul Carter come from Penn State, and what he did last year. Deny Dennis Sutton is arguably a hell of a lot more athletic.
That's the only problem I have with Penn State players. I can never tell if I like them, if I like their training staff, their athletic training staff, because those guys always test out of their face. When you hear those numbers, man, it's like,
yeah, every year there's like because Abdul Carter last year he was moving positions, right? Like, because he had been mostly an off-ball linebacker, and then was converted to a full-time edge, and then you Chop Robinson before him, and Odafe Owe, and like now deny Dennis Sutton. I'm sure there's one next year. Like, I'm sure there's next year. I haven't looked yet, but I'm sure there's one in
The
there.
strength and conditioning program at Penn State's on point. Those guys always come out, and all their tight ends test the same. Like,
oh yeah, their tight ends test off the charts too. Yep. Every freaking year. We need to get those. We need to get that staff to Cleveland.
Right.
Word.
If we're playing the game where the Browns do trade Myles Garrett and they're going to have some options in the first round, because I don't know. I'm not saying I'm an expert on where this guy's going to go in the draft, but I watched Zion Young out of Missouri, and I love that guy. You know what? When we talked about Quinshon Judkins last year, I mentioned his physicality and just the way that he imposes his will on you. And when I watch Zion Young, I just see another guy he's constantly knocking the ball out. He is like flirting with that hitting the quarterbacks too high type zone. And I'm not advocating for anybody to headhunt, but like, you're going to know when Zion Young hits you, man. That dude is a fierce tackler. And I would love to see him in a Browns uniform, because he's just one of those guys that, like, you can tell likes contact and likes to just hit the shit out of people. And I think that would be fun as hell in a Browns uniform.
Yeah,
the one thing. Go ahead.
I just like when you watch Zion Young, the burst and the power. You can see, just a thick physical player who can set the edge, man. Like there's a lot to like there.
You got to be able to convert speed to power at the next level. If you are going to be a consistent pass rusher, you got to be able to convert speed to power. Yeah. Like, it's just, and this is a great point by Always Trade Back. I think all the good O linemen have just moved to defensive line to get paid. That kind of makes sense, because there is an offensive line problem across the board. I got 13 offensive linemen total in my top 100.
Yeah. I think the big thing with Zion Young that scares me the most is a twofold. Number one, the pad level is inconsistent down to down, especially when you're having him work inside, which is what I would ask him to do, especially with Mason Graham. But he's got some off-field concerns. We can't ignore that. This is a guy who has a misdemeanor assault charge from his freshman year at Michigan State, and then a DWI arrest in December of 2025. It's actually still pending a court hearing.
AB's already turned in the card.
Yeah.
Well, there was a locker room incident at Penn State or Michigan State too, wasn't there?
Yeah, there was the tunnel fight as a freshman year, and then there was a locker room kind of scuffle during his sophomore year. So, does it give the impression of kind of a hothead a little bit? But if Andrew Berry interviews Zion Young and has that conversation, then I think that they feel confident. But in speaking of interviewing guys, a guy they've brought in for a top 30 visit still hanging around out there, R. Mason Thomas from Oklahoma. You look at him and you look at his size. Does it give you the concern of him being a DPR type of edge rusher with how he's built? Yes. This isn't a guy who you want, 30, 40, 50, 60 snaps, 6'2", 241. That's not what you want. But if you want a twitched up, high octane, probably the fastest first three steps in any edge rusher in this class, you want a dude that can go straight to the quarterback, R. Mason Thomas is it.
For me, the thing about our Mason Thomas that sticks out the most is the motor. Like this dude, it plays hurt, doesn't matter. The dude pulled his damn hamstring on his way to the end zone on a scoop and score and still ran at 40 more yards. I mean, he pulled his hamstring at like midfield and he still kept chucking along through. Like, that dude is the athleticism. Yeah, it's off. I don't love him in short yardage situations. I don't love him setting the edge. He would be awesome to rotate with Alex Wright. Alex Wright early downs, maybe either kick Alex Wright inside to do some rushing on third down or just plain out switch him out with our Mason Thomas. But yeah, man, dude, I got it. Harold Perkins is a great name on there. I got Harold Perkins as a linebacker though.
I do too. I have him as a linebacker just because, the problem with Harold Perkins is the size. You look 6'1", 223. You're not putting that in an edge, but then also the arm length is 23rd percentile, so bottom quarter of the league. Hand size at 8 and 1 inch eighths hands is actually 0 percentile. He has some of the smallest hands. And for an edge rusher, you might think, well, that doesn't really matter too much. But if you can't get your hands up to block the ball, or you can't get your hands in there to push the ball out, I just think he's a DPR linebacker, pass rusher. You got to get creative with him, and I'm sixth round. ATB.
You got anybody case that kind of like
you were talking about Mason Thomas, and like for a lot of those things that apply even with the rotating of Alex Wright, Malachi Lawrence. Like you said, motors. Like that's the first thing that popped in my head watching Malachi is his motor. It don't stop. He will not stay blocked. He refuses to. But there's an inconsistent play against the run. Not that he has the physical tools to do it, but it's going to need to be developed a little more. So if you had someone like that, you could have Alex Wright as your early down guy, and then him as come in as that guy off the edge just on obvious passing downs, and he gets after it, dude. He was fun to watch. He had some fun ass tape. I'll say that. Now it's UCF, so there's always that when you're coming from one of those schools, you're not always getting the cream of the crop week in, week out. But he flashed so damn much that it's hard for me to imagine a GM not taking a shot, at least by the end of the first round.
I don't think I can read Nick's text message on air, but Nick dropped off in his text message. I need both of you to read that real quick and see if you can get.
Yeah, I saw that. ATB makes a great call out here. He's an athlete. It's hard to find a role outside of like special teams for him. Another name at the edge spot that I'll throw out.
No, you don't get the next one. I do.
Okay, then you go, and then I'll go after you unless you have the same guy, at which point we may agree.
Is he in the Big Ten?
No, mine's in the SEC.
Oh, I was going to say Gabe Backus from Illinois. I really like Gabe Backus.
That's fair. I like Gabe Backus too. I just think he's more of a 3-4 defensive end where he's like kind of more of a bigger edge than he is in a 4-3.
Him and Keldrick Falk, they're in that kind of like, I like them better as run defenders than pass rushers, but they both have the pass rush upside. But if that's the kind of guy you're looking for as like an edge setting tone setter, which the Browns have in Alex Wright, so they might not be interested in those kind of guys. But yeah, I do like Gabe Backus and Keldrick Falk more than I think. I get Keldrick Falk 4th and Gabe Backus 7th.
Dude. So Falk, when I was watching him, I seriously got DeForest Buckner vibes.
Like, that is my comp for him.
Shut up.
That is my comp.
It is.
I have a first,
Dr. Defo,
I have a first round grade on him.
Yeah, and he's an ass kicker.
Yeah,
can't have enough of those.
So another name that I'll throw out there that going back to the SEC, going back to the Texas A&M Cassius Howe from Texas A&M. I mean, you want a dude who, bendy as an edge rusher, burst, elusive, has a spin move that counters just about the best of them, but also has the arm length conversation, the shorter arms than Ruben Bain, if you can actually believe that, but still has all the tools in the toolbox. And if you wanted to use him in that role as like a designated pass rusher type of guy, we talked about him last year. This is kind of the Antoine Powell-Ryland from Virginia Tech or the Muhammad Kamara from Colorado State, that designated pass rusher who did very well rushing the passer. I mean, this guy had 12 sacks and 27 hurries at Texas A&M in the SEC. Yes, I understand the short arms are there. Yes, I understand the struggles with run defense are there. But if I want a guy, I line up on 3rd and 8 and say, go hunt the quarterback. Cassius Howe is that dude.
Right. You used to hang out and talk shit with Tony Grossi. That's actually hilarious.
Mm-hmm. All right, you guys have been way deeper in the weeds throughout this whole draft cycle. So I'm going to throw out some superlatives for edges, and I want you guys to give me who you think is the best at said trait.
Okay.
Best first step.
David Bailey.
R. Mason Thomas.
Okay.
You might be right.
Most violent hands.
Ruben Bain. Yeah, those hands, man. I don't care how long those arms are. Those hands get to you fast.
They are Mike Tyson-esque hands. Let's just put it that way.
Well, that's the reason he's got short arms and no one's getting hands on him. He's violent. He's just violent at the point of contact, and they can't get hands on his frame. Okay, best bend.
Is it David Bailey? He's in the conversation.
I'm going to say Cassius Howell, but Howell is 1A, Bailey is 1B.
I think that's right. Yes, I think that's right.
All right. Best counters.
This might be controversial because he's like 28. Akeem Mesidor.
I'll say TJ Parker, but I can agree with Akeem Mesidor.
Ooh, TJ Parker's a good answer. That's a good answer.
Best finisher. Pause.
Ooh. I think that might be Akeem Mesidor.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Or Ruben Bain.
Yeah. Either Miami Edge.
Just pick one. Just throw a dart on either side. You'll find him.
Uh-huh.
Thanks for playing, boys.
Oh, okay.
Learned a little bit tonight.
Yeah. I just, I think. Let's see here.
Yeah. I will say this one other name that I'll throw out at the edge spot. Actually, two names. I'm going to go a little deep here. So the first one, Nadam Tucker from Western Michigan.
Yes.
6'3", 250, 14 sacks this past season, 41 hurries. If there's one thing he knows how to do, is get to the quarterback. Yes, I understand the level of competition at Western Michigan is not there. So sue me. I have a guy who's built like an edge, who can get to the quarterback. Yes, level of competition is going to be there, but if you told me you got him in round 4 or 5, I'm fine with that. Round 6 or 7, if you want to go with another guy, Michael Heldman from Central Michigan, 6'4", 260, 12 sacks, 36 hurries, a 26% pass rush win rate. Again, it's another conversation of I'm on day 3. I'm looking for dart throws of guys who have the tools to get after the quarterback, and I can develop everything else. Michael Heldman, Central Michigan, Nadam Tucker, Western Michigan would be my 2 guys.
I got one last game to play before we leave the show tonight.
Okay.
Let it rip.
All right. I'm just going to go run through the pick numbers, and you tell me which edge would fall there and that you'd prefer. If the Browns took an edge at 6, it is
Ruben Bain.
Right?
Ruben Bain.
Easy game, right? Okay. At 24.
R. Mason Thomas.
TJ Parker.
Okay. 39.
Malachi Lawrence.
Cassius Howell.
70.
You know what's hilarious? I got R. Mason Thomas 2 above TJ Parker, so you went right after me. I said Malachi Lawrence, who I have at 9. Then you say Cassius Howell, who I have at 10. You're getting like right under where I'm at.
Yeah.
All right. If they take an edge at 70, who is it?
Denied Dennis Sutton.
Ooh. 2. You said denied Dennis Sutton, and I agree with that. I'll also add Romello Height from Texas Tech.
And lastly, we'll do 107.
Joshua Josephs for Tennessee.
Nadam Tucker from Western Michigan.
I was also going to throw out Anthony Lucas from USC. Maybe.
I'd also add LT Overton from Alabama.
Yeah, LT Overton is like the he's too big to be an edge. He's too small to be a D tackle. He moves really weird, and you're like, man, listen here. Let me tell you something. I always trade back. If Sonny Styles was the pick at 6 with Carson Schlesinger and Quincy Williams, my God.
Quincy's on the bench. Then you can't live in 3 linebacker sets, even with their athleticism.
No, but
you can't
but
put those dudes out in the slot. So you're still going to be running 2 backers out there.
But think how fresh they would be. You're keeping those guys fresh because you can rotate that in.
Are you kidding me?
That's me and
Schwess ain't coming off the
Jeremiah.
field.
That's me and Jeremiah Love at 6, but I'm not. Hey,
Schwess ain't coming off the field though. You're not rotating Dick. He ain't coming off.
Oh no, you're not rotating him. His partner stays fresh.
But here's the thing:
All right.
Sonny Styles is a converted safety.
I know.
No, I know, but he's still not living in the slot on Zay Flowers. Like, we got to be realistic. Linebackers can't do that. That's the reason everyone's base package is nickel and dime.
I got Romello Height at 11 at my edge rankings. 11th edge 11. I like Romello Height.
I do too. I've got him at 84th. He's my 10th overall edge. I think he's like a Carl Lawson type of an edge rusher.
I got him. Where are you?
Yeah, ATB's right. The Romello, like I understand the Romello height hatred. Yeah, see, you're a little higher than me on him, just in terms of vertically and not in terms of position based, but like the Romello height hatred, like ATB talked about, like he's lean.
Yeah,
he needs to get in the weight room, but like you want to talk about a dude that's a long strider, has probably the filthiest spin move in this entire class, and has the loosest hips. Yeah, the loosest hips, pause, of any edge in this class. It's bad. It's filthy.
Yeah. Is there anything else? Anybody got anything else?
You guys both have Arvell as an outside backer?
I have him listed as a linebacker, yes.
Yes.
I have him listed as a linebacker. Going through this process, a lot of people thinking he's a primary edge, and I don't see that.
He may literally take the Micah Parsons route, because if you remember, that was kind of their plan, was him off ball.
Yeah,
play off ball linebacker.
20. There's a lot of development still to happen.
Yeah, and with Arvell Reese, it was like, he didn't even get that many snaps at edge this year. He got less than 100, didn't he? I'm pushing Myles. It was sunny on the outside of him. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I love that idea. Yeah, it wasn't very. Like everybody compares him to Micah Parsons because the measurements are really similar and the ramp up's really similar. But like, if you're talking Arvell Reese, I think he's closer. Like my comp for him in terms of a play style perspective and what I think his best fit would be is LeVar Arrington. Like just a true linebacker that you could use in a pass rush situation, but you don't use him as a pass rusher. I mean, this guy, he spent roughly 286 snaps in the box and 327 at D-line, so it's kind of a mixed bag this year.
Oh, Always Trade Back says he's about 2 minutes behind on the live. Dude, I've done that before, and then I'm like, why are my comments coming so much later than when I'm realizing I'm like somehow a couple minutes behind the actual live? I paused it somewhere along the way or something like that. Yeah. Guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate you all for hanging out with us here on Friday, Sunday night as your weekend is ending. Hey, Drew, we're actually wrapping up. But we will be live with our offensive my guys list with Jake on Tuesday at 8:30. Mm-hmm. So you want to check that out. Lots of great stuff coming up. This week, Bill and I will start releasing videos, a five-part video series with our top 100 big board. So we got that coming up starting. I might drop one of them tomorrow, depending on if we get everything good and recorded and all that good stuff. So love you guys. It's because I use time. He used talks to. Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I got to use talk to text for your comments. That's why you're behind. So we love you guys. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. We will see you guys again next time. And just, watch out for